In my district office, I have several caseworkers that work specifically on benefits. I hear often from veterans who are frustrated by the generated letters they receive from the VA on their claims listing out-of-date time frames. They receive letters stating that a claim should be complete in 180 days, when oftentimes it's taking a year and a half. They want to be able to plan accordingly while they are waiting for their claims to be processed. In other words, they'd like to have some certainty, particularly during these troubled economic times, particularly since the 10th anniversary of the Iraq War and a new generation of veterans are entering the system. What is being done to ensure that the time frames are accurate? And if the time frame is not accurate, are veterans being contacted with an updated estimation as to when the claim will be processed? I know it's very, very important, we have to give them hope, but I don't want to give them false hope either.
So thank you, Congressman Bilirakis, for your question. And we are doing some things. So, and I do know we could do better. We could do better. So we're trying in a couple of areas. First of which, if you have an e-benefits account, you are actually getting the regional office number updated on a regular basis. It feeds right from the data system that tells you how many days you can expect your claim to take in that regional office. It will be inflated right now, as I'm having folks doing the old claims right now. Those are hitting the average, but it will at least give them some level of that. Second, I know the letters. We create a lot of letters. And frankly, there's a whole group of people who have asked us to quit sending letters and start sending something to their email box or put it on their e-benefits account. So they will know, they'll have a letter, they'll have it electronically, they won't have it in paper. VBMS is doing something to help us on the letters because we create so many of them. We are doing things to try to improve those letters, to improve the readability of those letters, to simplify our language in those letters, to quit talking lawyerese and talk instead human beingese, and getting a clear, concise language in those letters moving forward.
Thank you. Second question, Mr. Chairman. In the St. Petersburg Regional Office, claims development is the largest delay, with 67% of all claims awaiting evidence. What is VA's strategy to address such a deficiency in evidence? If you can answer that first, please.
Absolutely can, and thanks for asking the question, Congressman. Largely, the evidence that VA needs in order to decide a claim is not owned or generated or held by VBA, over its lifetime. And it's largely, we need a couple of things. We need medical records. That includes the ones while you were in your service to this country and this nation. And we need the character and nature of your service or your personnel records. Those are the two big chunks we need. We also need, and we'll go get it, in private medical records. We actually like to ask our veterans, and have provided a means for them to do that with something called a disability benefit questionnaire, where they can literally hand it to their private doc and ask them to fill it out and get it back, which gives us exactly the medical evidence we need. We are seeing an increase in DBQ utilization, thank you, I'm sorry. But we need to do more, especially with private docs using those DBQs. That will help us with the evidence gathering. But the most important game changer on this was 3 actions that I've had as of January this year. Social Security and IRS are now giving us not access to their data once a year, access to their data on a weekly basis. That will help us immensely. DOD has now a new process they've agreed to with me. We have a signed memorandum of understanding where they are now stood up cells in the Air Force and the Army. Navy's doing it slightly different, but same concept. They are gathering all of the DOD medical records, now to include TRICARE records and contract medical records, things we have a hard time getting a hold of. They are gathering all that up before a service member departs service, either separating or retiring. They are certifying it's 100% complete as of date, and they're handing it to me. That has a major game-changing effort on that awaiting development, awaiting evidence bucket. We then will be able to, in a much faster way, rate that case, get that decision done, and move forward. And by the way, rate that case and do all those other actions electronically coming in the door to VBMS, because that'll be a new claim. We'll scan it, we'll ingest it, it'll go directly into VBMS and move along and be done without paper.
I have one last question, Mr. Chairman, if I may. Thank you. By itself, the St. Petersburg Regional Office has stated that it would need almost $2.5 million in overtime funds in order to meet the fiscal year 2013 production goal. How will the VA address this need?
I will let my colleague, Secretary Rubin, answer the question relative to overtime management.
Thank you, ma'am. Congressman Bilirakis, we every year have a set amount of money that we will look at to distribute as overtime dollars. The Undersecretary mentioned earlier the opportunity to utilize mandatory overtime to ensure that we are getting the best output from across the entire workforce. It is a difficult decision to make. And as we do that, it is about the volume of people that we have and the amount of work. Looking to maximize the output, we will continue to work with the St. Petersburg Regional Office, obviously, to ensure that they are getting the best outcome for the resources we have to make available to them.
Yeah, I'd like to follow up with you on that, specifically
Absolutely,
the St. Pete Regional. Thank you very much. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.